Good morning, folks. Welcome back to Good Enough Customs. This is actually Monday, day one of my vacation. Technically day one of my vacation. I took Friday off last week to go do some doctor visits and whatnot. So still got Big John sitting up here. He's on jack stands. I'd already swapped out the starter with the new high torque mini starter from Summit. Not a bad old starter. Installation isn't too bad, but the shimming, holy crap, that took some doing. I was probably underneath and out from underneath this truck at least a dozen times, if not more. It ain't perfect, but yeah, no, it's good enough. It's still got a little chirp right at the end whenever you let off the key. If I shim it any more out, it gets worse. If I shim it, or take a shim out of it, it gets worse. So this is the best thing to do. So why not? So that's kind of where we're at right now. I still haven't done the radiator. But I was looking at this radiator going, this may be a 4-core. It's not as tall as it should be, but it's definitely wide. I'm now having second thoughts about replacing the radiator. It may just be that I replaced this fan. If you remember back a couple years for Southeastern Truck Nationals, which is this Friday and Saturday, July 12th and 13th at the the Wilson County Fairgrounds out in Lebanon, Tennessee. Find out more information by going to gmtruckshow.com. It's gonna be a good time. But a couple years ago when I was driving Big John out there, slung a blade off of my flex fan, which went, let's see, right there. Yeah, right there. Put a cut in my hood and all that fun stuff. Anyways, at the show, I was able to go into the swap meet and found a smaller flex fan. That was the only fan I could find. And you can kind of see maybe you can see, it's dark in here, but it doesn't quite fill out the fan shroud. There's a couple 3 inches worth of shroud left to fill out, so it's not super efficient. So what I may do is just leave this radiator in place and swap out that fan, because that fan's definitely too small. So I think that's what I'm going to do, because yeah, it might have got a little warm, but it's really gotten warm with that fan in it. So since that fan's been in here, it's, when I drove it to Mobile last year, it was getting hot. And a lot of that's probably because the fan was too small. So anyhow, I think that's what I'm going to do for now. I've got a lot of stuff to do this week prior to the show. So, a radiator that might affect me driving twice and probably won't affect me driving twice isn't that big of a deal, because I'm just gonna drive this guy up there on Thursday, drop him off, and then I'll be driving it back home on Saturday. So a trip there and a trip back. Now granted, Saturday's supposed to be hot. I think I saw the high was going to be 98. Woo! A little warm. But I'll be going down the interstate. It's pretty much all interstate, so I'm not too terribly concerned about that. Could come back and bite me, but we'll find out. But like I said, I think this radiator may be a 4-core, because this thing is thicker than a Snicker. It is thick. That's with an extra C. So I don't think I'm going to do the aluminum radiator thing. Don't worry, I can always do it later. It's not a huge deal. I am going to switch out that fan. I've still got to get my tools and crap out from underneath Big John right quick, so I can get it back on the ground and we can swap this fan out. I've also got a couple switches and stuff to replace in here, like my 4-way switch for the windows. It only works driver's side window, and it only rolls passenger side window up. So I've got a new one. I've got, I think, a new lock switch, but I can't remember which one that was going on. I think over here on driver's side, because primarily that's what affects me. But I've also still got a couple spots of paint to fix on here. If I remember correctly, yeah, I missed a big spot here, a big spot there. I got to redo the top of this, redo the top of the other fender. I missed a spot on the back of the other fender, and I want to say there was another spot somewhere on one of the doors that I've got to go back and do. So yeah, when they say ventilation, they actually mean it. Yeah. So there's a couple things left to wrap up here, but it shouldn't take very, very long to do. The longest part's going to be doing the paint. I've actually got a bucket with some soapy water and a bucket with some regular water, so I can do a little wet sanding on the tops of the fenders, the dually fenders, and get those guys wiped back down. Then get them prepped, get them, you know, I've got the other thing here, and I've actually got a mixing cup, so I can mix up just a tiny amount, because I'm just going to use, hopefully this doesn't come back to bite me, but I'm just going to use a cotton rag to get that on the tops of the dually fenders in those couple spots that I missed. So that's the plan for this morning. I'm going to try to get all that stuff banged out real quick. Let that paint kind of set up a little bit. There's off and on rain this morning. It's supposed to clear up this afternoon. So then I can get Steve in here, get a couple things sorted out on Steve, and then it'll be time to get the daily driver in here and get that guy sorted out. So all right, I guess I'm gonna get to it, and we'll catch up here in just a few. Alrighty, so I got Big John back on the ground, all my tools cleaned up and all that fun stuff. So now we're gonna work on flex fan. So the flex fan that is currently on there, let me get my tape measure ready. Did a quick measurement on it. It is roughly 17.5 inches in diameter, and I've got 21 9/16 looks like worth of clearance. Somewhere in that neighborhood, we'll call it 21.5. So I was like, all right, let me look at the one that came off of Little John, because that was a flex fan as well. And here's that one. It measures out to roughly 18.5, so it's about an inch bigger on the diameter. And then I was like, wait a minute, I just got this other fan. Not a huge fan of the blue on it, but you know, whatever, it's back here in the shroud. And it measures out at like 19 3/8 ish, so 19.5 ish. So that'll take up, that's 2 inches bigger fan, so it's going to move a little bit more air. So that I think is going to take care of it. Now the funny story with this fan is I didn't have this fan yesterday morning. So y'all guys know Little John's down right now. The motor's just puking oil out of every orifice it's got. So it either needs to be rebuilt or replaced. So I've been hemming and hawing, can't decide, do I replace the motor, do I rebuild the motor? I was like, well, let me see if I can't find another motor. So I've just kind of been off and on checking Marketplace, see if I can't find another 350 to just drop in there and get it back on the road. And well, yesterday morning found one. So found this 350. It's a early mid 80s block. Don't know much else about it. Don't know what type of heads it's got, probably some terrible smog heads. But motor was pulled, it was running, driving motor. The fella, I believe his name was Kevin, had this in a Nova, and I think they swapped out the intake on it. So it's going to definitely need at least intake gaskets. But it's got these nice Edelbrock valve covers on them, which, funny enough, at an estate sale, I picked up the matching air cleaner lid for that at an estate sale a couple of years ago. Just was like, that's pretty cool. I think I gave like $5 for it. So but it's got a fresh fuel pump on it. You know, whatever, nothing really big. It's got a chrome oil pan. Chrome get you home. So so anyways, picked this guy up. He threw in a bunch of other little goodies with it, a couple sets of some old, can't remember if they're Headman, I think they're Headman headers. Threw in a couple sets of those. Back here, got a little Holly carburetor, alternator bracket, you know, pulley, you know, good stuff. And for the money, it's a damn good deal. I'm pretty pleased with it. But as I was getting ready to leave, he's like, hey, you want this flex fan? I was like, not really. I don't really need one of those, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you know what? Screw it. If you don't want it, I'll take it. So now I'm glad I took it. So this is actually going to work out pretty good for here on Big John. So So I guess I'm gonna get to pulling this other one off, getting this guy slapped on there, and that should give me good clearance, or good pull through the radiator, you know, using the shroud. So all right, I guess I'm gonna get to it, get this guy swapped out. Shouldn't take but a few minutes. It'll probably take longer because obviously something's going to be in the way, or something will go horribly wrong, because it always does. So I'll get this guy swapped out real quick, and then we'll move on to fixing some of my screw ups on the clear coat stuff. I ran the light down through here earlier and was just like, oh my god, there's 4 or 5 good spots I missed, mainly here on the passenger side. The driver's side, passenger side's not as bad, but anyways, all right, let's get to it. Alrighty, easy peasy. Yeah, that fills out this shroud really well. So got a little bit of clearance all the way around. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of the blue on there, but you know, whatever, it's fine. Yeah, that should be fine. I guess could fire it up just to make sure everything's spinning right and seeming good. So let me move my light so I don't accidentally cause some sort of damage that shouldn't be happening. Yeah, we'll go ahead and turn this guy over and see if it fires up. I don't know if it will or not. Might have to get in there and pump the gas. The old click clack. Thing's a champ. Well, that's no good. Well, I was going to fire it off and see what was going on, but apparently I've got a bad connection. So I guess let me pull this battery cable back off, check it. It looks it's a little foggy looking, so we'll clean that, clean the cable up a little bit, put the meter on it. Yeah, basically I got enough to get like a couple cranks out of the starter, enough to get the solenoid to fire, and then it just stops. And then I hit the horn just a second ago, see if I was getting any power, because now my fuel pump isn't kicking on. So I was like, am I getting any power? And the horn's just barely giving a little chirp. So I've either got a bad ground somewhere or my power cable's loose. So yeah, good times, lots of good times. So let me track this down and we'll get back to it. All right, looks like the positive terminal was a little bit corroded. Probably should have cleaned that before I put it back together. All right, let's see what we got now. I got fuel pump, so that's good. There we go. Yeah, that's nice. Not hitting anything. Looks to be pretty balanced. So I'd say we're in pretty good shape. Definitely moving a lot more air than the other ones. I'm feeling it all the way over here, like really moving some air. So good deal. That ought to shut that down so I don't, you know, a little carbon monoxide. Just that's not a good thing. So so anyhow, new fan on there, looks good, clears out good. Freshly cleaned positive terminal, thanks to some sandpaper. Because that positive terminal is, I mean, right on, I mean, right here. I mean, we've only got the width of my finger between the battery and the freaking core support. So, yeah, trying to get one of those nice little wire brush cleaners down in there. It doesn't work without pulling the battery out, and I wasn't about to do all that. So, and in case you're wanting to know how I kind of figured out what was going on there, is besides the, you know, truck not starting, basically took my meter, set my, you know, ground over here on ground just fine like that. Coming off, we'll go ahead and set this guy up over here at 20 volts. But coming off, why don't I move this here where we can actually see? Coming off the battery post itself, I get in like 12.4, 12.6, 12.5, somewhere in that neighborhood, right? Well, whenever I moved in here to where the braid is going down to the starter and, you know, feeding the rest of the truck, I was only getting like 11 volts. So I had a 1 volt drop between here and here. So that kind of told me, okay, there's a problem either with the ground or with the wire, and it was definitely with the wire, because I was getting the same numbers at each ground that I checked. So yeah, definitely a problem with the corroded cable. Fix that. We're back in business now, and that starter actually sounds really good now. It was chirping whenever I let off the key before, but it didn't do it this time. It sounded really good. So I don't know. It's self-healing. All right, so I guess now I'm gonna go through here. I'm not sure the best method to figure out exactly what all I need to do down through here, finding my bad spots. I'm gonna take a light, shine a light down through here. Maybe I'll grab some blue tape, kind of do like they do whenever you buy a house, you know, setting up a punch list, and I'll just take some blue tape. I won't stick it on the spot that needs attention, but I'll stick it just above it. That way it's right there. I can see, you know, oh, I've got a spot down below this. So I think that's what I'll do. That way I can kind of keep up with everything, and I don't get, you know, lost in the things, don't get lost in the mix, so to speak. So so I think I'll do that real quick. We'll catch back up once I walk down through here with a light and some tape, and we'll see what's going on. So be right back. Got my blue tape kind of peppered throughout. Get my spots marked. Basically, I just put it right above where I need to mark, or where I need to hit. This fender, I'm basically doing this entire top anyways. I already know I got a giant piece here that's missing, and then I've got to take it on down. I got a couple misses all the way down at the bottom here. So so back here, this pretty much whole top edge is going to get redone. This piece right here get redone. So I didn't really feel the need to mark that. But I got my blue tape on down the driver's side, passenger side. Got my tape on here, a couple just spots here and there. You know, basically got that guy, got a big spot here, got these spots in here, spot there, spot down here. Again, doing this entire top edge. I missed this section right here, and then down here where it's all busted up. Doesn't really matter, but I figure at least make it shine. So so I'll get to prepping on this stuff. Pretty much same process as I did to prep the entire truck. So most of the stuff's already been prepped, so I don't really have to prep it as well as I did before. A couple of these spots do have some runs that run down in them and some other stuff like that. So I'll probably go ahead and just give those a little scouring pad rub, just to freshen it up a little bit. Dry it, you know, wipe it off with some clean water, dry it off real good, and then hit it with the prep solvent. Get that part done, have it all set, ready to go, and then I'll mix up the paint. I do have a little mixed bucket that I should be able to figure out my 8-to-1 mixture in. I'm probably only going to mix up like that much, just a tiny little bit, because it's not a ton that I need for this. And if I run out, I can always mix up a little bit more. So rather than burning half an entire thing of it, like I did when I did this truck initially, hindsight being 2020 and all. So really probably should have just mixed up half of that, and used that, and then let it sit, go through, scuff it down again, and get a second coat on it. Would have taken care of all of this, but you know, hindsight. So anyhow, I'm gonna get to it. This is all stuff you've already seen, so I'm not gonna worry about filming on it. But we'll catch back up here in just a little bit when I finish that up. And then, like I said, I've got some switches and stuff to replace on this guy. I don't know if I'm actually going to do those because I am a little bit on a time crunch. Today is Monday. I've got to have everything ready by Thursday, because Thursday I got to go to the grocery store and get all of our food and all that fun stuff. So really I got today, tomorrow, and Wednesday, but I got a couple other things I want to work on, especially on Wednesday. On the daily, I got a bunch of stuff to do there. So I'm gonna try to plow through this. I may not even touch the window switches just yet, just knowing that I've got the stuff as plenty enough. So I'm gonna get to it, and I'll catch back up, I guess, once I'm done with this thing. All right, so I ended up using this little mixing cup here, and I think I filled it up, I don't know, about where it says the for mixing, about right about there. And then just a splash of the activator, or the hardener, whatever you want to call it. Got that done. I just used one of the, well, I don't have one over here, but one of the little cotton rags rather than using a whole applicator. Those applicators are kind of spongy, so they absorb a lot. So I figured just use a rag, keep it on, you know, the end. Also had a glove this time, so that was nice. But went through, I've already pulled all my tape off. Went through, hit all the sections that had tape on it. This is still wet, so yeah, it turned out much, much better. Hopefully they won't suck all that back down in there. Definitely got this midsection here and the whole backside of that fender. I went ahead and did another coat on my bed rails. This, I'm guessing it's kind of a glue type thing, residual from where they had a top on this thing. That's just sucking it right down. So I was trying to clean that up, so I'll put another coat here, but yeah, whatever. Then I found a few other little spots, just kind of threw out up here on the cowl. I went ahead and touched those up as well. There was a couple spots on the hood that were pretty bad as far as streaky. So I went ahead and went back and did those. I can't say whether it's any better or any worse, but at least it doesn't have, you know, it's still kind of streaky through here because this was one of the worst spots, but it looks better. Did another couple spots here on the hood as well. The ones that are right down through here turned out okay. Probably going to need to run a buffer over this thing to smooth everything out, but we're going to have to let this stuff set up and cure out real good before we go hitting it with any type of wax or any type of buffing stuff. Big John's pretty much done. You know, again, hit all the spots that were all down through here, got them all cleaned up, you know, right in here inside the door handles. I've missed that. Here on this fender, I put it on thick, and you can still see it's still just sucking it right down. So it's real streaky and blotchy, and it looks kind of like crap, but you know, it kind of goes with the fender because this is the one that's blown out. And got this whole section that I'd missed before. So all in all, pretty good. I'm pretty pleased with this product, the Poppy's Patina Wipe On Clear. It's pretty good stuff. It levels out pretty well, you know. Yeah, the instructions could be a little bit better, but overall it's still a pretty good product. So I'm gonna let this guy sit and cure out real good before I go rolling it outside in the heat and humidity. I think got the air conditioner set at like 73, so it's fairly comfortable in here right now. So I'll let this stuff dry up pretty good inside here, probably a couple hours, and then I'll put the mirrors back on, pull this guy back outside, park him up. Actually, while I've got it in here, I might wipe down the interior. It's not dirty, it just needs a good wipe down. Just wipe everything down real quick and maybe clean the windows. This guy's ready to go for the show. Other than just a quick wash and shine up the tires, you know, the little stuff. That stuff I'll handle probably on Wednesday. I think it's supposed to rain tomorrow. So this guy's going to get wet and dirty just sitting out in the rain with the dust. So anyhow, I got this guy wrapped up. Take a break for a few hours. Get me some food. After all, I am on vacation. And then it'll be Steve's turn next, and I'll pull Steve in here and do some fun stuff with Steve and get him a little bit more prepped for the show. So once we get Steve in here, we'll get him wrapped up, and that'll probably finish out the video. So anyhow, I'm gonna let this cure up. I'm gonna go get me some lunch and maybe even take a nap. It is vacation, so so we'll see y'all guys here in just a little bit. All right, so Steve's in the shop now. Big John pretty much good to go. Let him sit inside and cure out for a couple hours. Drove it outside, got it in the sun. That paint ought to bake in real nice, and it did exactly what I was hoping it would do. It gave the truck a really good appearance from 10-15 feet away. It looks amazing. You get a little closer, yeah, you can see some of the streaks and all that crap, but I ain't worried about all that. It looks awesome. It'll look amazing going down the highway, you know, just seeing it in passing. It's like, dang, that was a shiny old black truck. Yeah, it looks great in passing. But Steve doesn't need much. Pretty well good to go here. I know I did some work on this not too long ago, replacing the fuel pump. I also came over here and addressed this hub. I saw some grease that had been slung out, and addressed that. It was a little loose. Tighten her down, got some grease in there, good to go. But while I was looking around, I noticed I've got a little grease escaping on the rear wheel. Now, the tire differences between the front and rear is pretty extreme, so this front tire will not fit in the rear, and the rear tire won't fit in the front. So I know that wheel has not been up here at the front. So there's been a problem that's been nagging the crap out of me with this thing, where the rear end just doesn't feel right. Something's wrong. Could never quite get it, nailed down. What exactly is going on back here? Well, I think I know what the problem is. I'm pretty sure I've killed that the bearing out here, and probably the axle seal. And yeah, it's not happy. We're not fixing that today. Steve's gonna get trailered up there, not because he can't make the drive. It's just easier to transport it on trailer, because I'm taking Big John and Steve up on Thursday. Crook's gonna be trailing Steve up there. I can't remember if he's leaving a truck up there Thursday as well. Don't recall. But anyways, we're heading up there Thursday to drop off 2 trucks and cordon off an entire area, because we got about, I don't know, our group's, I think last count's around 18 trucks, something like that. So we're probably somewhere between 15 and 20 trucks is what we're going to have in our group. We're going to be set up in the same pavilion we're typically set up in. All right, anyways, what I'm doing to Steve. One, I figure we can get over here and we can monkey with getting this clear where it's peeling off on the bed rails. Get this handled. That's not something I'm going to worry about filming, really, because I literally just did it twice on Big John. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to mix up a little bit amount, a small amount, which will probably be even tinier. I mean, I probably only go about much, because all I got to do is the tops of the bed rails and the top of the tailgate. Now, the main reason why I brought Steve in here is, well, I did a little shopping. I'm not one, Steve's pretty well sorted out, so I'm not one to really go spending a bunch of money on Steve and all this other stuff. I mean, this is my pride and joy budget built truck. And when I say budget, I mean budget. I built this truck shoestring. I wasn't making the same money I'm making now in my day job. Finances were a little bit tighter back then when I first got this truck, so every red cent counted. Now, granted, I did get a hell of a deal on the truck. I bought it for $800. Yeah, this truck I bought for $800. Now, everything I've done to it, lowering, I think 5 up front, 7 in the back. I got a Vortec 350 in it. I shot it with clear. I recovered the seat. I put a stereo system in it. Just a little odd and end stuff. Nothing huge. But total money I've got wrapped up in this truck is about $4,500. So not a lot of money. I've always been very, very proudful of that fact, that I've built this thing for under $5,000, which is pretty awesome. Anyways, one of the things that's always kind of bugged me, and I've tried to fix it a couple times, is the grill. I mean, you look at the front of this truck, everything's good and shiny, and then you got this grill in the middle. It's just blah. I have sanded and repainted this thing 4 or 5 times. The plastic's just caked or cooked, and it just sucks up all the paint that I put on it. I mean, it's only been a couple years since last time I painted this, and you can't hardly tell. Like, you can see some of the paint still right here. But, and I've got my emblem. It's faded out. Last time I priced one of those emblems, because that's a metal foil sticker, it was a few years ago, so I don't recall exactly what they were asking on it. But I remember my thought process going, they want what, for a sticker? No. So a little bit more on the front end now that I'm looking at it. These are not the factory surrounds. These are the cheap plastic ones. They shine up really good. They fit okay. They're not great. I still have the factory ones. They're pot metal. They need to be re-chromed and cleaned up, but that's just an expense I'm not really wanting to take on right now. So these guys, guess what? They're good enough. So anyways, that grill's always bugged me. And then whenever you get to the interior of the truck, You know, it's nothing fancy going on in here. I don't know. Okay, yeah, you can still see. So, you know, my dash bezel, it's okay. It functions, does what it needs to do. But I've got like this broken corner here. There's another broken corner over there. It's just, it's aged. It's a little rough. So always kind of been on the hunt for one, you know, for a new dash bezel, new grill. But man, the prices, they are, whew, they are expensive. And trying to find a good used one, you're gonna spend like 50 bucks on one that may or may not have some cracks. It's definitely gonna be aged. It may be a little rough. You know, it might be better than what you got, but it's still not exactly what you want. Long story long. I was cruising around on Holley's website the other day. Every once again, like to pop over there and just look through their clearance stuff, see what they got. Right now they got some summer clearance spectacular celebration, something going on. I don't know when it ends, but if you got a 79 or an 80, you probably ought to jump on there. So I ended up buying a brand spanking new grill. I mean, look at that. It's still got the plastic protection on it, so it's a little ripply, but we'll pull that off when we get it mounted up. But I mean, look at this thing. Oh, see, she is shiny. I've got a few broken pieces on Steve, but this thing is just clean, man. And Steve's got a few mountain tabs that are broken on it, so you know, hey, fantastic buy. Also picked up this guy, and that is very specific. This is all on Holley's clearance thing, but this is very specific. 73 to 80 dash bezel, no AC, because if you had AC you'd have a vent right there, but it's a no AC dash bezel. So this guy is just, man, she's nice. So this one's a Holley Classic Parts piece. I think it's actually Brothers is the one that actually manufactured it. This is a Tri-Plus, but it's an actual GM restoration part. So you may go, man, you spent some dollars on that. The hell I did. I don't remember what the retail on these guys are. I know it's a lot more than what I would spend for either one of them. I want to say this guy was 230, 240 bucks, something like that. And then this guy was touching $300, somewhere in that neighborhood. So, you know, just call it 250, 300. Why not? So that would be $550 for those two parts. Yeah, Holley's marked down on their clearance. I paid $44 for that. I paid $88 for this. If you don't check the Holley clearance every now and again, just make that, just kind of throw that in as part of your routine when you go online and you're searching Facebook, Marketplace, and all that stuff. You're like, you know what? Let me just take a peek. You know, ton of other stuff on there that I don't need. I did order a couple parts for Big John, window switches, some new marker lights, which I didn't put on just yet. The marker lights were like $8. The switches were like $2. So all in all, I spent like 180 bucks and bought, I mean, either one of these would have been more than what I spent for everything I bought. So pretty awesome. Anyhow, I want to put those two pieces on Steve and fix up the bed rail and the tailgate top, and then I need to polish up my wheels. They're a little beat and a little grimy, a little brake dusty from power tour and just, you know, driving them. So just need to kind of spit shine those guys up and just kind of go through a few things. So that's what my plan is for Steve. So I'm gonna get to it, and I guess let's do the most satisfying one first. Let's do the grill. So we'll get started on this grill here in just a second. All right, so I've got screw here, screw there, and then one in each corresponding hole. Actually, the mounting tabs, it doesn't appear as though I'm missing any, although one of them's a little rough looking. So if it's a factory screw, it's probably a T15. People may have swapped it out for a wood screw, drywall screw. I see those quite often. So let's see if we can't get this guy out of there. One. The bottom ones are going to be a challenge. Now, I'll probably hang on to this grill rather than, you know, send it on down the line and let somebody else use it or refurb it or whatever. I'll probably hang on to this, put it on the wall as a kind of a wall hanger. I don't do the Hot Wheels thing, but I've seen a lot of folks use old grills for Hot Wheels. Not to say I don't have a couple of the Hot Wheels trucks, but I don't make that a practice. All right, so a little side-by-side comparison of the two. Yeah, that's gonna look real nice. So, all right, let's get this guy dropped in. I gotta find one more screw since apparently I got a screw loose. Ha ha ha. So I gotta find one more screw, and we'll get this guy mounted up, and the front end of Steve will look awesome. Be right back. All right, so was getting ready to drop the new grill in and discovered something aggravating, but it's not uncommon when it comes to new aftermarket parts. The holes for the screws, now I'm still using the factory screws. I was able to locate a 6th one. So that's the original screw that was used to hold the grill in. The head wouldn't go inside the hole. The holes are too close, or too tight. So I went through, I drilled them out, but you have to be very careful if you got to drill these out. Looks like I need to give this one a little bit more attention because I can't, there it goes. You got to be very careful because the drill got away from me on this guy and this guy, of course, both on one side, but the head fits in there, but it doesn't fit far enough. It doesn't pull through to the other side. I almost screwed up and ran it all the way through, which would have been a bad time. But that seems to be working now. So let me throw this on real quick. I'll be right back. Fresh grill, ready to go. Couple of notes. Make sure when you go to putting this thing in, if you're putting one in, leave it loose. I basically hung the center, left it loose so I could move stuff around and basically get every single screw started before you go tightening down. Another thing is these guys don't come shaped to the front end of the truck. This grill was basically flat, so it's having to flex back a little bit. I did run into problems over here where I over drilled the hole. Yay. This top one I blasted all the way through, and I ended up using a wood screw because, hey, they work. Down here on the bottom, I was actually missing the piece that mounts on the core support for the screw to go into. I had the right screw and it fit, but I didn't have anything for it to screw into, so I ended up finding a clip. I've had a lot of square bodies, so I've got a lot of those little clips everywhere. But the problem I was also running into was the inside of that hole down here where I'd over drilled, and it was a little loose. So pulled that screw back out, threw a wood screw in. I know, wood screws. But like I said, they work. I needed something longer than what I had, and that worked out just fine. Also found while I was up underneath there a wasp nest that's been sitting there for God knows how long. This guy's pretty crunchy. Yeah, this truck, when I bought it, it had been sitting in a field for 15 years, so it had wasp nest everywhere. I know when I replaced the taillight lenses, I was pulling just handfuls of wasp nest out. It was insane. So yeah, this one was hiding up underneath the core support. But all right, so I got that handled. We're pretty much done up here on the front. Yeah, like I said, it looks great. Really really makes the truck look good. It'd look better if I put the hood down, but I'm not doing that just yet because there's a couple little things I want to sort out up underneath the hood while I got it here in the shop. But we're not doing that right now. We're going to move to the inside, and we're going to get that new piece for the dash, the bezel, get that piece in there, or at least get the old one out. And there's probably gonna have to be some trimming done. The dash pad that I have in here, this guy is a urethane unit, so it's not like, you know, this is definitely not the original dash pad. It was baked and in really bad shape. But this is a urethane unit that I picked up back when they were reasonable. I think I paid like $170 for this thing. Pricey back then, but now these things are like $300. So as you can see, the fitment is just not, it's not great. You know, it moves a lot. Yeah, it's a chore. So that's going to be very frustrating. I'm going to try to film that. It's hard to film inside the cab of the truck. One, lighting's a problem. Two, where I'm working is like all up in the middle of all that stuff. So that poses an issue as well. So I'm going to try to film it. I don't know if I'll be able to or not, but I'll, at the very least, I'll take some breaks and say, hey, here's what's going on here. Here's what I'm doing here, that type of thing. So I guess I'm going to get to this and try to get this knocked out before I call it a day. All right, next day. I was going to try to do this last night, but then I discovered it was almost 7 o'clock and I was hungry. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to go get some dinner. And then I ate too much and I didn't feel like coming back out. So I went ahead, I pulled my 8-track that I just kind of keep in there. This radio doesn't work, so it's just for show. But I pulled the 8-track tape out, pulled my knobs off. That way this thing will come out. And then we just got a bunch of screws to take out. This center piece here that goes on the underside of the steering column, that's got to come out first. Then it's just taking the rest of the bolts or the screws out. That's just, you know, kind of sporadically throughout the entire thing. And this guy should pull out. I might have to disconnect my or cut my zip ties that's holding my tack on and move that out of the way so I can actually get the get this bezel out. But we will see whenever we get to that point. So let me get these screws out and we'll pull this bezel, and then we'll try to see what we can't do about the alignment on this dash pad, because like this piece, you know, obviously that should be much further in, and up here, you know, it's weird gaps, you know, stuff like that. So it is what it is. I mean, you know, I'm not looking for an absolute showpiece here, but I'd like for it to look somewhat nice. So let me do that, and I'll be right back. All right, so the bezel's gone now. Yeah, there's not a whole lot I can do. Like this corner over here is really, it needs to be trapped right there. But obviously that's not going to reach. So really the only hope I got is to pinch this guy down or fasten it to where it can't move past that corner. Maybe that's why I put that hole there. I remember having to put some holes in this to get things to grab, but yeah, that's aggravating, but that's all right. We'll figure it out. I'm gonna hem and haw on this for a minute and see if I can't figure something out to keep that guy from flopping around, since he's not gonna meet, and it won't, the pressure I can put on here won't be able to pinch and hold that in. So let me see what I can't do about this. That one corner is the one that really just bugs me because it hangs out like that. So see if I can't figure something out with that, and then I'll slap the new one in there and get her all buttoned back up. So it's just one of them things. Try to figure out what I can do to make things work. So all right, let me see if I can't get this sorted out, and we'll pick back up here in a minute. All right, so this looks awesome. This new one is super nice. Fits in perfect. Everything works, you know, exactly how it should. My gaps, I can't really do much about this. These little gaps here where it kind of comes in and out. It's this, you know, this urethane guy. It's floppy. It moves around. I think it's got some metal supports that go along over in this area, but right in here, it's just floppy, you know, urethane stuff. So it just kind of moves and does its own thing, whatever. But this turned out amazing. The chrome around all the edges looks like really, really good. The original one did have that originally, 44 years ago. But that has since faded. You can still see some remnants of it, but it's pretty well gone now. So that looks great. Plus I don't have busted corners over here and over here. You know, it's really nice. Couple little notes though. One, you will have to take your, you know, if it's an automatic, you'll have to take your gear shift, run it all the way down so you can pull this guy out. if you have a tack strapped to the column like I do. Some people use hose clamps. I just use zip ties because I didn't have a hose clamp this big. You will have to take that guy off as well. You don't have to take the knob for the headlight switch off. That passes right through, no problem. You will have to take the buttons off the radio. And I just, like I said, I pulled this 8-track out just to kind of make sure I had plenty of room to maneuver and all that fun stuff. But fitment on this thing is excellent. One other quick thing is when you're tightening these guys down, again, just like I did on the grill, take and just kind of get your screws started as you go. If I had to, there's a sticky spot there. Good old GM steering wheels. If I had to do it over again, I'd probably take all the screws and scuff them and shoot them black, because they're still kind of rusty and aged looking, but whatever. No big deal there. I can do that anytime. But whenever you put your screws in, get them all just kind of started, a few threads, and then start tightening them down. Be careful when you're tightening these guys down, because that old plastic, especially where you're hooking up to your gauge clusters, that plastic's a little brittle, and if you're not lined right up, or you put too much oomph into it, you're gonna crack one of the mounts, and you're not really gonna be able to tighten up a screw. You can actually see this little speck right there came from that guy where he was not lined up really good, so it broke off part of the mounting tab that attaches to the gauge cluster. No big deal. It didn't break it all off. I was still able to get it in there and get it to tighten down. But just be really careful when you're tightening those guys down. It doesn't take a whole lot of force. Basically, you get in there, you feel a little resistance, and maybe just a little bit more turn to it, and you're good. Otherwise, you're going to start breaking stuff, or possibly cracking your brand new dash bezel. So I'm super pleased with it. It's about 120, 130 bucks for 2 parts on Steve, which really, really makes this truck pop now. That grill just looks awesome. And that dash bezel looks so good sitting in this truck now. You wouldn't think it'd make that big a difference, but it really, really shines this area up and makes it look nice. Here's my other one, you know, as a just kind of a comparison. You know, still black, but you can see some of where the chrome used to be, and you know, it's got busted corners and stuff, whatever. But I think it was good money invested in this guy, and I'm pretty doggone pleased. So I think I was going to wrap it up for this one. I know not a whole lot of really super cool, interesting stuff, but some neat stuff. And all this just getting prepped up and ready. I've put off getting stuff ready for show season all year long, and here we are in July, and I hadn't done a damn thing until this week. So I'm going to shut the video off here. I'm going to come back out as soon as I get done editing and everything. I'm going to come back out and get these wheels all polished up and shined up real nice, because they definitely need it. It's been a couple years since that's been done. I'm not going to go crazy like I did in the video where I bought these wheels. You know, that was wet. Those things were really, really bad. So I, wet sanding and buffing them out. I'm not going that level. It's basically going to clean them up, and I'll probably just use some of the, probably some of that Eagle One Never Dull, and just kind of clean them up that way. That stuff does a pretty good job when they're not terribly bad. This truck doesn't sit outside a ton, so I don't have to worry about animals peeing on it, or the sun and just regular dirt just sitting there baking in on it. It sits in the garage most of the time, so it's not terrible when it comes to cleaning those guys up. So that's going to wrap this one up. Just remember, folks, Southeastern Truck Nationals is this weekend, July 12th and 13th. That is a Friday, Saturday, 2-day show. I believe spectator tickets are $20. Kids under some age get in free. I don't remember what age that was. You can find all that information out at gmtruckshow.com. Link is down in the description. Be there or be square. So anyhow, if you liked the video, be sure to hit the like button. If you've made it this far and you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit the subscribe button for me. That'd be great. If you got any questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, drop it down below. I do check them all. If you want to follow me on social media, that information is also listed down in the description. So hopefully I will see y'all guys this weekend at Southeastern Truck Nationals. If you see me, pop by, say hi. I've got some stickers. I can give you some stickers. So I'd like to meet some of y'all. It'd be a good time. So Anyhow, I do appreciate y'all guys watching, and do look forward to seeing y'all next time. And just remember, folks, ain't got to be perfect, just good enough. Yeah, good enough. Y'all take it easy. We'll see you later.